Look up at the space industry today, and you mostly see an exclusive playground for billionaires. Launching hardware into the sky is an expensive business, requiring massive infrastructure and huge amounts of capital. If you want to observe Earth from above, the standard playbook is to strap a highly sensitive sensor onto a rocket and shoot it into low Earth orbit. It is a centralized, incredibly expensive way to gather data. But a 24-year-old from Karnataka, Sriporna Rao, looked at this global monopoly and saw an inefficiency. He decided to build a direct alternative. Aerospace dominance is no longer the sole property of those who can afford rockets. This industry is vulnerable to anyone with enough grassroots ingenuity to bypass the traditional launch model. On placement day at IIT Madras, most engineering students are looking at the finish line, a secure career at a top-tier tech firm. Instead of taking his seat in the interview room, Sriporna walked out. He boarded a flight, headed straight back to his hometown, and decided to build his own aerospace company from scratch. He traded the absolute certainty of a corporate paycheck for a completely unfunded venture. There was no safety net, and there was certainly no startup capital waiting for him. Disruption on this scale requires abandoning the security of established institutions to start again from zero. Early on, convincing investors to fund an aerospace startup led by a 24-year-old was nearly impossible. The money simply wasn't there. So Sriporna set up Arcturus Aerospace in a tiny apartment in Bangalore. The living space quickly became a makeshift manufacturing floor, dominated by the sprawling wings of his prototype aircraft. Space was so tight that he regularly slept on the floor, squeezed directly between the carbon fiber wings he was assembling. To keep the company alive, every single rupee was calculated. Instead of paying for auto rickshaws to navigate heavy city traffic, he pedaled a Yulu electric bicycle across town. This daily physical grind was done specifically to save precisely 4 rupees a day. Optimizing for pennies in his daily life translated directly to his engineering. That same obsession with waste is what allowed him to shave massive costs off his aerospace prototypes. The traditional space industry relies on brute force to get massive hardware into orbit. Sriporna's approach is simpler. This schematic shows his hardware solution, an unmanned aircraft spanning exactly 8 meters. Instead of pushing into space, these climb and hold steady at 45,000 feet. Staying within the atmosphere changes the economic model. A satellite launch costs millions. Deploying Arcturus costs 95% less. Operating at this specific altitude also provides a very distinct and powerful visual advantage. At 45,000 feet, the aircraft fly below the satellites but above the weather, allowing them to capture clear, high-resolution imagery of the ground. Focusing on the stratosphere rather than orbital space makes high-volume Earth imaging economically viable for the first time. A 95% cost reduction is a metric that investors cannot ignore. The math eventually spoke louder than the skepticism. That logic finally caught the attention of institutional tech investors in the United States. They looked at the technology built in a tiny Bangalore apartment and backed Arcturus Aerospace with 21 crores in funding. This shows that engineering logic paired with personal grit can command global capital, regardless of where a founder starts. Sriporna Rao walked out of his college placement interviews with nothing but an idea. Today, he runs a fully capitalized aerospace corporation. Arcturus Aerospace is now building fleets of these stratospheric aircraft, offering a viable, highly efficient alternative to established space empires. Sriporna's success offers a clear model for regional engineering, demonstrating how local firms can outcompete global giants through extreme operational efficiency. The future of aerospace technology belongs to those who build the most radical efficiencies, regardless of the size of their starting budget.